for the political Napalm News Blast. It is the week after Thanksgiving here in the States. Let's go. Let's jump into it. So, in this episode, we're going to talk a lot about the continued Republican disinformation campaign that they engage in, and the narratives that they continually spin that always winds up getting busted and backfiring in their face. We've covered and made reference to a lot of the J6 footage and narratives that did not work and pan out there. So on the channel, we've talked about the fact that originally QAnon Shaman was not believed to be a Trumper because what Trumper dresses like that. And of course, then it was revealed that he was QAnon Shaman. The yellow hoodie guy was said to have a communist hammer and sickle tattooed on his hand, which obviously meant he's a leftist, a socialist, a commie, a liberal. It was the Arcane Studios Dishonored game logo that was tattooed on his hand. The picture of the guy wearing a shirt that says Antifa, when the actual picture was Antifa sucks, and this was a guy known to be a racist by the Southern Poverty Law Center. We've talked about Trump's attack ads on Biden back in the 2020 run-up that said he was asleep when he was praying in church, that he was alone and lonely in his basement and not campaigning. It was a cropped image of a Super Bowl party that was being held that Biden attended. If it wasn't actually in his own house, I can't remember if it was his own house or it's one he attended, but the enlarged photo showed that he was in a basement surrounded by people. He was sitting on the floor. There were people on the furniture around him. The attacks on Biden, like he's falling asleep during the Hawaii services and meetings after the fires, which is not true. The disinformation campaign absolutely continues on the right. Rightoids continue to peddle it, and rightoids continue to consume it and believe it, and they have yet to learn their lesson to start checking things properly. They're not getting it. So we're going to talk about some more J6 things here in the beginning and get that out of the way quick. So one of the things that had been making the rounds, thanks to DC Drano and others, was this picture of a J6 Capitol policeman or police staff in Washington gleefully and happily pepper spraying a quote-unquote patriot, otherwise known as a J6 protester. If you look very closely at this picture, and you might look at the glasses and nose, and I'm not going to put thoughts in your head, but it almost sort of looks like in cartoons when somebody gets those Groucho Marx glasses and they put them on their face and they have the little mustache and the big nose and the glasses and everything. If you're thinking that when you look at this picture and seemingly how big the nose looks on this person's face and how it's almost out of place and everything, you would be right, because this is a digitally altered photo that rightoids have been throwing around on Twitter in a continued vain attempt to spin J6 into something that is not actually what it was, and to break the reality of it. The original photo, the cop looks considerably different. He does not have glasses. He does not have the happy face. He has gritted teeth. The nose is much smaller, and he doesn't have the glasses. So this is the picture that they're parading around saying, find yourself somebody that looks at you like this police officer looks at this J6er, the happy face, the glasses, the big nose. This is the actual original image, and you can see the credit going to Getty Images. This is the one that you can actually buy if you're in the press and looking to use this photo for a newscast or something like this. This is, I can't imagine the emotions of this person. I'm not going to put myself in there, but this is somebody with gritted teeth and is clearly not happy about doing this. But this is the way that they are portraying it. Now, the victim is the same, the red hat, the blue shirt, the glasses, Here, the red shirt, the glasses, the blue shirt, the red hat, the glasses, etc. This is the actual image and what the person looks like. Somebody forced to do a job that they're not exactly thrilled about doing. Not this who looks like he's opening the best Christmas gift ever. Clearly not socks with his name on it. If they had just maybe changed the grimace to a smile, they could have maybe had something. Now, you'd obviously have to Photoshop in a little bit of a smile to the eyes. You can believe when somebody is actually really smiling because something changes with their eyes and the wrinkles and the muscles around their eye sockets and everything. They'd have to do that work here, but you can see the nose is way more in shape with the face and everything. And this is a fake image. This is a fake nose, fake mouth. Even when you look at the glasses and you look through the glasses, those are not the eyes of the original person. These are smiling eyes. This is a work. If you fell for this, you're stupid. You fell for stupid propaganda propagated by stupid people, designed to go to people that they know would never fact check them and would never come back to them and say, why did you show me this picture? It's fake. That's exactly what rightoids do. This is what right-wing propaganda does. They expect you to never check on it and never go back up the chain to the original source and say, what the hell are you doing? So, typical J6 disinformation. Another one that was going around, and this one was definitely propagated by Liz Peek, The Hill, others. This article that was saying, it was clear Democrats cherry-picked evidence and painted Trump as an insurrectionist and the supporters in the worst possible light. Blah, 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 blah. For instance, some protesters were shown being uncuffed and then fist bumped by the cops, suggesting that they were undercover FBI. This is a narrative push. If you were to witness this on video and you were to read something like this beforehand or attached to it, you would assume the person creating the text is right, and they are giving you the narrative that you lack in the short clip of the video. You don't necessarily know if perhaps the insurrectionist was happy that the cop let them go. Maybe the cop was a Trumper and was letting a fellow Trumper get a pass. You know nothing other than the fact that you saw two people fist bump, and now here's somebody telling you, well, this is what the context is. Well, this actually was another failure and was disinformation. This fist bumping duo from the video actually is by a person who was arrested. So this guy, Owens, who is circled here in the green, was under arrest. Yes, he was released from handcuffs and exited the U.S. Capitol through a particular door. However, he was arrested for what he did. His name is Jared Luther Owens, and he's been charged for being in the building, which immediately was felony obstruction of a governmental proceeding. Just the fact that he was in the building that day, he committed a felony. It doesn't matter if he was, quote, let in, which is a complete false narrative. People broke down windows. People broke down doors. That's how they got in the building. QAnon Shaman's group was one of the first ones in. They were the ones who actually disrupted the congressional proceedings. Jared Luther Owens, a.k.a. the fist bump guy, is somebody who has been arrested and has been charged for being in the U.S. Capitol building for 16 minutes. So this fist bump, when he got let go, we still don't know the direct context of, but he's not an undercover Fed. This is the new narrative the right has been trying to push about J6 when all the others have failed. You have Marjorie Taylor Greene saying, I feared for my life on that day because I thought it was Antifa and BLM. The easiest response to that is, why would Antifa and BLM be attempting to storm the Capitol and stop the very thing that they want, which is the ouster of Trump and the victory of Joe Biden. Why, if the Yankees win and I'm a Yankee fan, which I am, why am I going to go protest at the Yankees ticker tape parade? That is fucking stupid. So that narrative was out. The narrative that it was Antifa and BLM is out. The narrative that it was peaceful is out. So now the new narrative is it has to be feds. And I've said it once, I've said it a million times. If you were a Trumper and you attended J6 to support Trump and everything like that, and you did not intend violence, you did not intend destruction of property or to get into the Capitol buildings through illicit means, broken doors and broken windows, and you went in there because you followed the mob, then you're a lemming, you were a sheep, you've forgotten the adage that your parents told you, if everybody jumped off a bridge, are you jumping off a bridge too? If they were in fact Fed instigators, then you were allowed to be misled and manipulated. You lost your own mind, you lost your own thinking, and you followed the will of a rabid group. That's not a good narrative. It just shows you're unintelligent and easily misled and pushed into doing things that you didn't intend. So to say that there's Fed agitators, that's no victory either. It just paints you as being weak. Yet when patriots paint themselves, they like to think of themselves as alpha males and the big kings of it all. And they have pictures of Trump with Rambo scenes going on. You know, the infamous Rambo scene of holding the bazooka and the pecs and the bandana, or painting Trump in Punisher garb, which is absolutely hysterical because you talk to anybody who knows the Punisher is anti-police. So people with Punisher, thin blue line flags and everything like that, that is not actually what the Punisher stands for. And the Punisher's authors are continually mad that, blind, brazen pro-cop sentiment attempts to use the Punisher skull because it's literally against what he stood for. So we have this narrative fails because it's a Photoshop. We have this narrative failing because the person has been charged and still committed an illegal action, not a Fed. Then we have this one. So DC Drano was a big one on this. This woman is like, you pushed me in, stop, why did you do that? You pushed us inside the building, you pushed me in, and then proceeds to say that this man had an earpiece. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 2023. People have earbuds and earpieces for everything. First of all, an earpiece does not automatically mean law enforcement. It does not mean a Leo. It does not mean Capitol Police. It does not mean the cops, the police. It does not mean the FBI, the CIA, any organized military organization whatsoever. First of all, anybody can get these earpieces anywhere. If it was Radio Shack, if Radio Shack was still around, I'd say you could hop on down to your local strip mall, go to a Radio Shack, and get a quote-unquote earpiece. That's number one. Number two, it actually was in fact not an earpiece. It was the person's mask. So this guy right here, you can see black hat, checkered hoodie, inside of a jacket, is this guy, Tyrone McFadden, and his fiancée, Carrie Ann Williams. Hat, checkered hoodie, jacket. So when DC Drano pushed around the narrative that this guy was a Fed who was steering the cattle down the chute to slaughter, this is another failed narrative. It is, in fact, another J6 defendant. It is this guy from Kentucky. Let's see, Confederate battle flag. Actually, no, this doesn't seem to be the right guy over here. Kentucky man, Israel, Easter Day. The man pulling people through the door is Israel Easterday, Kentucky. He was found guilty. The man shown later in the video, the earpiece guy, is Tyrone McFadden. The woman with him is his own fiancée. So that's even worse. DC Drano has so much egg on his face. He's going to get charged for egg price fixing like we've seen. It's this guy, Tyrone McFadden, capital breach case. Here's the case number right over here. The complaint was filed June of 22. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. He was already arrested at the end of August of 22. So this conversation is occurring between him and his own fiancée, which makes it even absolutely more hysterical. But DC Drano, just a known disinformation specialist, never gets anything right. This tweet is even still up. That's what's ridiculous. The community note is here. Nearly 18,000 people have reposted this, probably believing it, not reposting it, checking it. I would be willing to bet the majority of people reposted it thinking it's true. It's been quoted about 550 times. It's been liked about 43,000 times. Every one of these people who fell for this is an idiot being misled by an idiot. The pulling thing, that's this part in the beginning. So that guy right here, underneath the flag that's pulling people in, is not a Fed. He is another J6 defendant, just like everybody being pulled in. The guy that is being yelled at by the woman, saying, you know, you pushed and blah, 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 that is actually his fiance. I don't know why they're having this conversation. You know, this is not an earpiece. It's his mask, which you can see right around his neck over here. How people in 2023, slightly prior to Thanksgiving in 2023, continue to fall for this astounds me, because we've already dealt with this in 2023 in the spring when the QAnon shaman thing was happening and the infamous Tucker footage and whatnot. Nothing will change the J6 reality. There is no narrative that was ever being pushed. We saw it live on TV. We saw the fallout from everything that was recorded. We saw it happen through the eyes of the people who were there thanks to the parlor dump. You cannot change this reality anymore. It is immutable. This was a riot. This was an insurrection. It was committed by quote-unquote patriots. It was committed by Trump supporters, not Antifa, not BLM, not feds. And again, if feds were in there and you got instigated by a Fed, you're an idiot. So moving on to more information and disinformation, Hunter Biden, after being the target of Republicans for years now and supposedly the smoking gun that is going to take down Joe Biden, and he is the linchpin to prove this criminal Biden conspiracy family, this crime family, this peddling influence, all this other stuff. Hunter Biden has said, okay, Comey, we will go ahead. I will go ahead and honor your subpoena and I will testify, but I will only do it if it is public. The Republicans immediately backed off and went, oh shit, this alligator is snapping. He's trying to eat people's hands. And they just backed off. Because Republicans want to be able to get Hunter behind closed doors, open those doors when it's done, and spin a narrative just like Marjorie Taylor Greene has done in the past, with documents viewed in the SCIF and everything like that. They want to be able to push a narrative. They want to discredit everything that is actually true that Hunter would say, but by being public, everybody can draw their own conclusions. Everybody can hear the same thing that everybody else can hear. And whether or not Hunter is going to fall apart and crumble and the Republican narratives will be true, or Hunter will stand fast and push back against them and prove none of what they said is true, it'll all be public. You could all see it. No cherry picking. None of this, oh, the J6 committee cherry picked 15 minutes of footage from a mostly peaceful protest. You're going to get none of that. It's just going to be for us all to see. The moment they dared Hunter to raise the stakes, and he did, he called their bluff, and they folded. Republicans have backed out and said, well, we're not going to acquiesce to his demands. We're not going to do it. It's because it's a shit show. It's a sham. They don't actually want him in there. They wanted to preen and primp and posture in front of their maggot crowd and pretend like they're going to do something. And then when he called their bluff, they immediately, well, not like that. So people who said Hunter Biden should testify and do it publicly, you can see here, come clean in front of the American people. This tweet is now deleted because now they're going to try to pretend that's not what they wanted. Finally, before we get into one last topic on the way out of this video, it's now come to light that Pence's own son told him, you need to get in there and you need to do your vice presidential duties with the recounting of the vote on January 6th. This is why there was announcements on January 5th of 2021 that Grassley was going to be presiding over this certification. Pence had backed out and said, quote unquote, and this is all coming out in relation to Pence's book, by the way. So this is not BS. This is not Photoshop. This is not made up stuff. This is Pence's own words in his book. He thought it would be too hurtful to his friend for him to do his duties, which was not to install Trump for a second term because he lost. And he said, I feel like I should not attend the electoral count. Too many questions, too many doubts. It's too hurtful to my friend. Therefore, I'm not going to participate in it. His son, a Marine who was on vacation with him in Colorado, said, Dad, you took the same oath I did as a military service member. It was an oath to support and defend the Constitution. That's when Pence decided he would go to the Capitol on J6 after all. So this spineless, wishy-washy little mama's boy had to be convinced to do his job by his own son. Whoever thought that we would call Dan Quayle and Mike Pence's son American heroes in 2023, but here we are, because the two of them combined actually made Pence find his spine for at least 10 minutes and do what he was supposed to do. Nowadays, of course, in one sentence he'll praise Trump and in one sentence he'll attack him, for J6 and everything like that. But at least for just a short moment of time, his own son had to say, Dad, do what you're supposed to do. Go and do your damn job. Pathetic. Really, really pathetic that this is the timeline we live in. And then finally, George Santos, Long Island's favorite goddamn moron. George Santos has been a thorn in reality's side for a long time. Keep claiming he's doing nothing wrong, but his campaign is filled with so much darkness and dark money and craziness and lies about, I don't know what OnlyFans is, but he does. May actually be a crossdresser, may have stage names, cross-dressed down or been a drag queen down in Brazil and everything like that. Santos is a laughing stock of American politics and really epitomizes what's going on with the Republican right at this point in time. So Santos was brought up on ethics charges once to be expelled. He didn't get expelled at the time. A lot of people were like, well, even Democrats were like, well, here's the thing. He's been accused of a lot of stuff, but until the proof comes out there, this would set a bad precedent, because if we kick people out just on accusations, it can come back against us in the future. So some people, like I believe Schiff was one of them, and some others were like, this is going to set a bad precedent. We're not going to do this now. But if the proof ever gets here, oh boy, are we going to? Well, yeah, it's coming. So he had declared that he was going to refuse to resign from Congress, despite the fact that his expulsion was going to definitely be showing up. Santos has stated, "I've done the math over and over, and it doesn't really look good for himself because he knows the expulsion is coming because the ethics committee is reconvened against him." There's a 56-page report exposing the complex web of unlawful activity in his campaign and personal and business finances. Unfazed, however, Santos is pulling a Madison Cawthorn on the way out and saying he's going to burn the place to the ground as he's leaving. If he gets kicked out and Republicans vote to get him out, which would then push the vote over to get him out of there, he's going to reveal people who are cheating on their spouses and doing drugs and, infidelity and all this other stuff. He's basically kind of doing the Cawthorn of, hey, these Republican crazies have these coke-filled sex binges and I get invited to them and blah, 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 blah. So he's really just saying, if you try and touch me, I will touch you. He's called the Ethics Committee Chair, Michael Guest, Republican out of Mississippi, a lady part, challenging him to stop stalling and push for a decisive vote so he can just get it over with. Santos is escalating the confrontation, labeling Congress as felons galore, calling them hypocrites. He's put forth accusations of extramarital affairs, claiming colleagues indulge in excessive drinking with lobbyists, and also has said they're doing this because the lobbyists, they're trying to prime them to be the next person they're going to cheat with. Missed votes due to hangovers, distributed voting cards like candy to permit others to vote on their behalf. The left is just basically popcorn at this, or let them fight for Godzilla. Nobody really cares who Santos exposes. Most intelligent people just want the dude out. Republicans should be scared right now because they are in a lose-lose situation. If he stays in, he continues to stain the Republican Party, but they have power, so this ghost will continue to haunt them the whole entire time. They look feckless and ineffectual. If they get rid of him, they lose power, which is there's something that they're desperately clinging to, but everything might be exposed, thereby losing even more power, because maybe other Republicans will get put in front of the ethics committee and they might lose 5, 10, 15 of them when Santos goes out the door, if he provides credible proof of his accusations and everything. So Santos is, he is a linchpin holding a trailer between a pickup truck and just a trailer full of absolute dung. We're talking Better Off Dead, Biff Tannen, Dungmobile at this point. If he gets pulled, you better believe that dung trailer is going to tip over and it is going to be a riot to watch this happen. If he does not go quietly into that good night, it is going to be really fun to see the swath of destruction Santos tries to levy on the way out, especially if he starts naming names. Will the Republicans cave and continue to support him and leave him there? Or will enough innocent Republicans who don't have anything to lose say, you know what, get this dude out of here, and all the fearful Republicans will scramble to support him staying? It's going to be really interesting. It's going to be very telling to see who supports him staying and who supports his removal. It probably could be a line in the sand as to who is good and not good in Congress on the Republican side. So thanks for watching, everybody. Let's call an end to this episode of the Political Napalm News Blast. I will catch all of you guys next time.